Today, I want to welcome Michal Carlock to the podcast. Michal is the embodiment of resilience, determination, and faith. She is an actress, speaker, mentor, and the founder of Her Promise Circle, a faith-based community that empowers women to pursue their God-given potential while providing resources to support their mental, spiritual, and physical health. Her journey to create this incredible community was born out of her own struggles with burnout, mental health, and a desire to create a safe space where women could grow and thrive. As a respiratory therapist during the pandemic, Michal witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of those times on patients and healthcare workers. The toll of her demanding career, coupled with untreated anxiety and past traumas, left her feeling exhausted, disconnected, and lost. It was at her lowest point that she turned to God and found a renewed sense of purpose and hope. Michal's personal experiences taught her the importance of faith-based health and wellness. She recognized that mental, physical, and spiritual health are interconnected and that true healing requires a balance of all three. This realization inspired her to create Her Promise Circle, a community that empowers women to prioritize their well-being and pursue their passions. Michal's message is simple but powerful. We can be purpose-driven and confident in our abilities, but we must also prioritize all three, our mental, physical, and spiritual health. By doing so, we can unlock our full potential and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. So without further ado, let's jump into my super expansive chat with Michal. Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the Lovely Digest podcast. I'm your host and friend Emily, founder and creative director at Bet Creative, sharing weekly wellness wisdom with you every Wednesday. My goal is to help you design your dream life and make the transition from being in information overload to being your own personal success story. Make sure to subscribe to get notifications every time a new episode comes out so you don't miss the latest simple and actionable tips for improving your well-being. So welcome. To dive right in, I'd love for you to share your transformative journey from respiratory therapist to founder.
Okay, are you ready, Emily? So as I told you, I was, in the brink of COVID. We were on the front lines, and so no one's on the road, but you're still having to get up and go to work. And we're overworking at this point because if you watch the news during that time, they were telling you that there were ventilator shortages, and not only ventilator shortages, but the people who operate them, and that's us. And so we were being heavily work. Like when I say heavily, I mean like it felt like we were at war because everyone had like hazmat suits on. Everyone's like doesn't know what to do. The doctors don't even know what to do, right? And so you're walking into everyone who also has like children at home. And it's like not like this is our whole lives. It's like people who have lives and are now having to come into this, like, I don't even know how to explain it, war zone. And so all of us are feeding off of that energy from each other. And so we all were burnt out to the extreme. My mental health has never been great. Let's be real, in my 20s. But at that point, it was, I mean, like getting up and going to work was a job in itself. And so out of that desperation for not only mentally, physically, and emotional health, but my spiritual health. And so, I'm a PK. I grew up in church. So I literally threw myself head into my relationship with God, recommitted my life to him. And from there, I found so much peace. I had so much grace to continue going, but he's like, yeah, I also have something else for you to do. And I'm like, all right, great, because I'm tired of this. What are we going to do? And he's like, yeah, I need you to help women, start a business that's going to help them. And so the transition, I would say, is still in process. I still work PRN, but I'm able to do something I love and that fulfills me, that I'm passionate about. And I'm not like hating my life, like getting up, going to work just to survive. You're like in
Mhm.
survival mode, and not only like in your health, but like just as a person. And getting out of that survival mode is what led to me actually having time to be like, okay, what would fulfill me? What would I like to do? What will give me purpose?
Mm.
So I hope that kind of that's a quick recap.
I
But
love
it was
it.
birthed out of like just pure desperation of I'm exhausted and burnt out in every way.
Mm. So,
Yeah.
like, when you decided to create your own business and had this calling and this feeling, was there one moment that you realized that you needed something, you needed to change something, or was it kind of this gradual, like, calling over time and figuring it out?
It was pretty quick. Um, so the last straw I'll say was I was going through a breakup at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like doing all that plus then going through like this awful breakup. So the I feel like when you reach those points in life, like this was one of my worst breakups ever just because of the way it happened. But I feel like when you're feeling like you're losing things that were once comforting to you, and that kind of gave me solace.
Mhm.
That relationship, at least I felt that at the time. And so to lose what I felt I was comfortable with and what was like making me feel um somewhat stable, it felt like a rug being pulled out from underneath me. And so I was just kind of like unstable and uncomfortable. And it's like, well, who do I depend on? It's like, oh God, okay, got it. But until you get to that point, I feel like we don't realize just how much we're really seeking that peace, seeking something that we can be stable in. And so when I got in that position, I'm thankful for it now because it led me to where I am now. But um it was sudden because at that point it was like, all right, I literally have nothing else to give. Like, I don't know the answers. I don't know what I'm going to do. I hate
Mhm.
my job. I hate that I feel like crap. I hate that my anxiety is literally a personality trait at this point. It's so ingrained in me that I thought it was like, just normal. It's just who you are. And so from that point on, I was like, I have to make changes. I have to put my health as a priority. I have to feel more fulfilled. I know I have a purpose in this life. I want to pursue that. And so from there, it's kind of like I said, I'm a PK, so I grew up in church. So like coming back to God was more like a, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. So it wasn't like I had to like relearn, go, yeah. It's like I had to just kind of like be like, hey, what's up? It's been a while. Um, but hey, what's up? Let's be friends again. But from there, it's like I already had this feeling. I've had a podcast before. I've had started a community before, but none of it ever had that purpose behind it or had that meaning behind it. Because when you're living it, I feel like you can't be as sincere as when you're just like, oh, I want to do this thing. And so I think God places desires in us from the beginning. And then as you find yourself, then they become more and more meaningful. Um,
Mhm.
and so to answer your question, it was sudden because I already knew that I wanted to do something like this. I just didn't really have a purpose behind it.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Um, I feel like a lot of people have shared when I talk with them about God and faith that, and I feel like this as well, that there's this like transition period of if you grow up with God and faith, then you have to go through your own discovery period.
100%.
And I feel like in your the 20s is like a perfect
Oh,
time. I feel like everyone goes through this
yeah.
period of just not knowing where they're supposed to be going with their life. And it makes me really happy to hear that like you refound and rediscovered your faith and things that make you happy and feel fulfilled. I'd like to take a pause in the episode to talk about this amazing opportunity to get 20% off Absorb Plus in the Listen to Your Gut shop. If you have Crohn's or chronic illness, you may have heard about Listen to Your Gut. I reached out to the suppliers of Absorb Plus to see if I could give you guys 20% off rather than sign up for their affiliate program, and the team at Listen to Your Gut graciously agreed. Absorb Plus quite literally saved my life and bought me time while I was waiting for my medication to get approved by insurance. We all know how that can go. It's an elemental shake, meaning you can be on a completely liquid diet, gain weight, and get all the nutrients you need without needing the use of your intestines. Absorb Plus is digested completely before reaching the colon, so it can have a break from working so hard. If you want to try it, use my code EBECK20, that's EBECK20, for 20% off to listentoyourgut.com. This is an offer not available anywhere else. How has your faith shaped your approach to your health and well-being?
Yeah. So, her Promise Circle is founded on giving women resources that are geared toward their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. Because I often find that there are tons of communities and resources. I mean, you talk about even like resource overwhelm. It's like it's it's easier if you find a place where everything can be taken care of, kind of like a hub. And I realized even throughout my 20s, I worked out, you know what I'm saying? Like I worked out, I tried to
Yeah.
eat healthy. Like I knew what therapy was. I went to therapy, I understood that I had emotional things to deal with, probably the least bit. But the thing I ignored was my spiritual health. And no matter if you're a Christian, Catholic, whatever you are, if you ignore the spiritual side of you as a person, that's a whole chunk of who you are. A whole chunk of purpose, a whole chunk of, even you talk about like, meditating, that helps. I was listening to your episode. I'm sorry, this is a side note. The episode on being busy and like maintaining like your peace. So
Yeah.
good. I'm doing all those things. But that's exactly what I mean. If you don't have some sort of practice or some sort of grounding thing that you do,
Mhm.
it makes life a lot harder. And so for a long time, I was on autopilot, just like, okay, mental and physical health, mental and physical health. And not realizing how big spiritual health is to us as people. We're mind, body, and spirit. That's what we're made up of. And so I gear her Promise Circle towards each and every one of those parts of us, so that we have resources to offer for every single one, so that not one part is ignored. Because us as women tend to focus on one thing here. Okay, we're going harder about our skincare, right? And that's like all and we get that fixed. Okay, now what do we do? But it all goes together. And so I make it faith-based because me, someone who is a Christian, I would like to have a faith-based health coach or a faith-based life coach, and we offer those options as well. And so the point is to have a well-rounded resource hub that focuses on every health in a woman, because then I don't feel like we can obtain overall wellness if we don't pay attention to all of them.
Right. And focus in on the fact that like health is so multifaceted and our lives are so
Exactly.
multifaceted. And
Right.
yeah, you can't have one without the other, but it's worth it to dive into each piece. Have you heard of the circle of life at all, or the life circle tool? And like it's this circle broken up into little pieces of a pie, and it's an exercise on how to kind of evaluate each area of your life and to take note and figure out
Wow.
which areas you should maybe dive into a little bit more, learn more about. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So smart and so needed. Seriously. But yeah, I mean, we tend to ignore certain parts of us when when things seem a priority, and the only reason it becomes a priority is because we've become burnt out in that area. So it's like you go and go and go until like you can't anymore. And then now we're just focused on where we're completely burnt out. And it's like,
Yes.
before it gets to that point, maintain all of them to some degree. So we have some balance.
Right, exactly. What would you recommend for someone, or how do you approach working with women who are experiencing burnout, and what are maybe some tips that you would have?
Yeah. So, burnout in every area is easily noticed because you'll be pretty much on autopilot. You'll be pretty much feeling low or unfulfilled or bad about yourself or whatever it is. But I definitely recommend, the reason Her Promise Circle is a community is because I was so deep in isolation, especially after pandemic. Like, it became my happy place to just be alone. I mean, like, I got comfortable with like being in my own company. Then going to the grocery store seemed like a hard task because I'm like, I love my solace, right?
Mm,
And I think that when you put yourself around people who are also focused on what you're focused on, then you can then recognize burnout faster, because people who are close to you know you, and they're like, "Hey, what's up? Something going on with, like, you need to have people around you who know you and who you can be yourself with." And that's what we pride ourselves on, is like, people come to Bible study and I'm like, all right, guys, how was the week? Like, tell us everything. Like, I want people to be able to be completely themselves and not feel like they have to be this, cookie cutter looking person just to fit in with our community. Be yourself, because then you can find the correct pathways that you need to take. Because if you're trying
mm,
to front for a group of people, how can we suggest something for you? We
right.
don't know if you're struggling with something. And so I would recommend community. I would recommend finding something that works for you, not doing what looks like it works for other people, something that works for you. You
Mm,
may not like to work out in the morning. You may be an evening person, that type of thing. Customize your lifestyle so that it's comfortable to what you are able to do and what will help you out the most.
right. I love that. Yeah, community is so important for holding yourself accountable. And it's
Oh,
fine to
yeah.
be an introvert and love your peace. And
Yeah.
I certainly do, but I find that I like retreat into myself if I'm not careful and I'm spending too much time alone. And
Yes.
then I end up like dreading when I have to go out and see people. And then I go out and I see people. I'm like, oh, this is actually really helpful. I needed this.
Yes, it's so true. It's so easy to be in that place too if you're introverted.
Mm. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So, could you tell us a little bit more about Her Promise Circle and what it is and what your goals are and what you do?
Sure, we're a women's wellness community. We focus on women's mind, body, and spirit, your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. Because, like I was saying before, we tend to ignore certain parts of our health. And so, due to the World Wide Web, we have so many resources and we have so many options, but it gets overwhelming. So it's like, oh, I know this vitamin's for that, and this is for that. And so I need to, and it's like, then eventually you just don't want to do anything because it's like, it's too much. It's like, there's too much I need to do. But Her Promise Circle streamlines, where basically your support system as a group, as a community in every part of your health. So we have fitness accountability. So if you're wanting your gym workouts to be more active or fun, or find a way that fits your lifestyle, we have accountability partners. We also have an accountability group if you'd rather be in a group setting. A lot of our girls are not in the same space, so all of our options are virtual as well as in person. We do meetups so that you can have time to be around people, make new connections, because that's important. And like I said, we do faith-based coaching options for all of our coaching. So we have business coaching, business etiquette coaching, resume building, etc. I do the life coaching and health and wellness coaching. And then we also have social media coaching if you're into wanting to grow your platform, et cetera, et cetera. But we offer these things so that anything you need can be done in community. So you always have a support system. We're funneling the resources you need. I pride myself on getting feedback from our girls, not just offering, this is what we offer. So if you want it, take it. If not, whatever. It's more so like, okay, what do you need? I will go out and find someone who can do this. And now we offer it because this is what you wanted.
Mm.
And so it's more of a specified community that can not only hold you accountable, but it's giving you the resources you want. We're not just telling you what you need. Where coaching helps you get to a point where you realize who you are and what you need. And then from that point, we can then supply what you need. And so we want to start having more meetups and community in-person things. As my Atlanta girlies start signing up, we can start doing more in-person stuff. We're based here. But we also do virtual meetups so the girls can meet online. So you can, have some chats and stuff. Not everyone likes to go out and all that stuff just to meet people. And so this is a way where we can all come together, all be ourselves and be celebrated as who we are and where we are.
Mm.
It's not just, for Christian women, it's just an option for women in general who want to work on all the aspects of their health and have community to do so in.
I love that. That's so needed, and especially when things went virtual and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
we lost so much connection and work became online, and I feel like a lot of people, like, I still have the tendency to, like, have the line be blurred between, like, work and fun time and family
Yeah.
time and friend time, and so, like, having the option to be virtual is nice, but also, like, being able to go out in person is amazing.
It
Giving
is.
back.
Oh my gosh. Seriously. The community stuff is great. I love it. And then it also holds you accountable, like, oh, they're waiting for me. I gotta go. We climbed Stone Mountain last month together. And so like stuff like that. So I'm enjoying it. I need it too because it gets me out of the house.
I feel like all the best businesses are purely selfish or, like,
Yes.
selfish, and we
Like
think it is, and it's like, no, it's actually just doing a world of good.
exactly. It's like I need this, so I know someone else does too. So let's all get in on this. Let's all get in on it.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, all your links will be below, but just tell people where they can find you.
Sure. So Michal.Renee is my Instagram. My Her Promise Circle Instagram and Her Promise Circle website is all herpromisecircle.com. Her Promise Circle. The YouTube is Her Promise Circle. And I think that's it. Yeah. Everything can be found on the website, all our services, all of our events. And then my podcast is also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I just put out an ebook. It's
Ooh.
called Get Ready. It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle, and the paperback version's available on Amazon as well. It's for single women who are working on themselves in preparation for marriage.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have been doing quite a lot of work. So I'm like, why not share this with the world?
That's the best. I love having those resources. I think about all the time. Like, I would just wish that I had, like, a resource for someone who, like, went
Yeah.
through my experience before me and, like, gave me the guidebook literally on
Yeah.
how to take the next steps.
Exactly. I agree.
Thank you so much for being here today and spending time with me. I really appreciate
Of
you and
course,
all
no,
that
I
you
love
do.
you. Your energy is beautiful. I love your podcast. I'm here for it. It's bite-sized, so my ADHD is not offended. It's great. I'm obsessed with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that is it for now, lovelies. Thank you so much for tuning in. For more tips and to join our online community off the podcast, follow Lovely Digest on Instagram and Emily Beck on YouTube. The links will be below. To join our email community and get notified of new discounts, tips, and resources, follow the link in the show notes. If you thought this was helpful or know if it might help a friend, please make sure to share it, and if you feel inclined, leave a review. It really helps get these tips in front of the people who may really benefit from this community we have here. See you next week.